Great, good afternoon, and thank you for having me here. My name is Max Haot. I'm a co-founder and CEO at Livestream. And today I'll be talking to you about how can live video help democracy. We were talking about the topic of today, and certainly Livestream, we didn't start the company really with this idea of helping democracy. But it's certainly been something that has surprised me, and I will illustrate it today with 4 real-life examples that I've witnessed in live streaming over the last 4 years. Firstly, a quick disclaimer. Livestream is a live streaming platform, and it's a democratic platform. So it means that anybody from a high-end brand in large events or an event like today can basically sign up and use our service to live stream. We don't do anything that is not legal, but so long as if it's legal in the United States, in a local country, we let anybody broadcast their message to the masses on our platform. And today I'll be using 4 examples, and I want to clarify that it's by no means an endorsement by Livestream or myself. So back to the question, can live video help democracy? So again, I'll show you 4 examples, and hopefully you'll be able to answer that question by yourself at the end. The first point is actually the opposite. If you think about live video as live television, it has basically been helping propaganda since the 20s, since its invention. And it actually has been helping propaganda exclusively because until 2007, nobody could really on their own broadcast live to the masses. So if you look at television and you compare it, everybody has heard about how Twitter and blogs and everything have been helping in the Arab uprisings and other. But there's been very few talk about how live video has been playing a part of role into that. And as far as I'm concerned, if you look at blogs and social media, they really are the democratization of the printing press and to some extent the telephone. But if you look at what the live streaming platform have done when we launched in 2007, Livestream was one of the companies that launched the same year and allowed anybody with a webcam or with a camera and a laptop to basically go live. Not just to go live like on Skype to someone else, but to go live to 10,000 people, 100,000 people, and we even have cases where it's millions of people. So what I personally believe is that, compared to traditional print media where you need a level of education and you need to be willing to be engaged, television is so easy to consume, it's so entertaining that live television is the ultimate medium to either spread propaganda or to spread an activist message. In 2007, as I was saying, we've really enabled anybody to create their own live TV station. And this is actually one of the members, we'll come back to that, it's one of my examples, of the Occupy Wall Street team downtown who's using a webcam and a laptop and is part of a full production team that is producing the Occupy Wall Street Global Revolution channel on Livestream. So the first of my 4 examples is one that probably none of you know here, but I'll come back as to why it's an interesting one. It was a 2-day protest with a very similar agenda to the Occupy Wall Street or the Occupy movement in Plaza del Sol in Madrid, Spain. And the event organizer, I had the chance to meet him, Vlad, and I captured a little iPhone video. And it was really the first time that I personally learned the impact of live video for somebody trying to organize a protest or a movement. And I'll first let him say it in his own word, and I'll summarize that.
All right, so the first time we used a livestream channel, launched a big livestream channel, was for Spanish Revolution in Madrid. We launched this channel for Spanish Revolution. And the problem we faced at the time in the movement at that point was that all of corporate media was basically presenting what was happening as just a bunch of homeless people, what they call the para-floaters, the food and the dog people who don't do any work, they just put the food and hang out with their dog. That they've taken over the squares, and it was just a major public nuisance. And the first broadcast was basically went viral within journalism was very long, it usually goes for 4 to 5 hours. But within 2 hours by starting to broadcast it, it got picked up by Twitter, by a number of different blogs, social sites, and eventually some smaller TV stations started rebroadcasting it. So the media blockade at that moment was broken, and millions of people throughout Spain suddenly saw
So what Vlad is saying, and what he explained to me, that's when the penny dropped. He explained that the propaganda of the national media in Spain wouldn't let the message out, and even though there was some photos and some text on Twitter, the message wasn't going out. And in reality, they were not bums. They were actually young Spaniard, intellectual Spaniard that were sitting in the square in the General Assembly and were debating the future of Spain and their agenda. And by putting a live stream camera and bringing it on livestream.com, they were able to go viral on Twitter and Facebook to a point that a few, tens of thousands of people, maybe 100,000 people saw it. But what was more important is that they were able to force the media to then broadcast and rebroadcast the feed and show the true story. And we'll come back. This was a Vlad Tejberg, sorry. And he has a New Yorker, illustration, and we'll come back to as to why he has one of these illustrations. The next event, it's a lot of a much harder event because people died, was the Freedom Flotilla in June 2010. And here you can see this boat that was part of a flotilla. This is the main boat that, as part of a humanitarian movement, or some people say humanitarian, was bringing aids to Gaza from Turkey. Why I'm bringing this up is what was amazing is that on this boat they built a full television studio. So they had about 12 cameras, they had a full mixing producer environment, and they had a full-on TV satellite at the top. And they started to broadcast on the Friday the journey from Turkey all the way to Gaza. It was downlinked in Turkey and streamed on live stream, where we saw record viewer number way before any national media was talking about this at that time. What's interesting is that they were able to tell their side of the story using live video, and they were able to broadcast all the way up to the point where the tragic event unfolded when, because of the blockade, the Israeli commandos raided the boats and people unfortunately got killed. But this is I'm going to show you a video that was broadcast live on live stream and picked up by national media around the world, including Al Jazeera. And that was made possible because the democratization of both the production equipment and the broadcasting. So this is the actual footage that was on live stream as the commandos basically arrived. And they broadcast for 3 days before that, live, continuously, with their jacket, inside the boat, and certainly were able to not with expected conclusion, but get their message across. Interestingly, the New York Times actually had a front page story where they actually talk about the impact of video in this type of a debate, you could say, or tragic event. What happened is that the Israeli forces issued YouTube video of their point of view from their camera of what had happened, and then the protesters or the people from the flotilla issued their own video from the live stream that they published, and this really aimed to shape opinion and brought both perspectives. Obviously, we're not endorsing either or giving opinion, but from a news point of view, it brought both perspective and the democratization of video and giving the ability for the protesters to have it helped in that opinion debate. The third example, and we'll get to the fourth in a second, is an equally tragic story that we've kind of lived through at live stream. Mohammed Nabous was a live stream producer based in Benghazi in a stronghold in Libya. And as you'll see in the next video, he was producing a channel that was broadcasting basically the square in Benghazi using satellite technology and really showing to the world, hey, we are really there, it's a real revolution, and Gaddafi is not taking us down. This was very important. Unfortunately, he was shot doing one of his reports that he was doing in the field by a sniper a few months before the uprising, 6 months back. So that was one of the articles that he was tragically shot, and we worked with his wife to give her control of the channel that she still managed today. This was the channel, and as you can see, you'll see in the next video, they were reaching up to about 80,000 concurrent viewers and a few 100,000 viewers a day that were able to see the square in Benghazi, see that it's live, and then chat at the same time. And this was important not only for the world and the protesters to see, but NPR and other major media were able to, through the channel, get in touch with Mohammed and start to really help telling the story. And you can see again the theme of live streaming helping bringing the news to the major media. So this is the next video we'll see. This is their production studio.
Nice.
Check, hello? If you can hear me, hello? He is coming Benghazi, no doubt. I have seen it myself with my own eyes. Right now I was in an area called Haot TEDxSiliconAlley, a Dular area. And he has bombed it. He has bombed the area, all of that area has nothing, I mean, no, even a camp, nothing.
So this was his last message, tragically. But it shows you how he was able to report uncensored directly from the field because they had a very small, low-quality internet connection, and he was able to report live to the world. The previous footage were actually from Al Jazeera that sent the reporter there to tell a story. My next story and my final example in making my case will or does live video help or can help democracy is the Occupy Wall Street movement, or the Occupy movement as a whole. Here you actually see a photo that was taken a month back or a few weeks back of the media center of Occupy Wall Street. And this is the media team, and we'll explain to you who they work for in a second, but this is the media team. They're using the live stream studio, that's actually one of our products, and they assemble a lot of video feed and broadcast live to the Occupy Wall Street Global Revolution channel. I'll be showing you the metrics and the number of that channel at the end, and I think that will be my concluding point. But if you remember, we saw Vlad, and actually the video you just saw at the beginning, I captured it this week in New York. Because actually Vlad exported his success with live streaming in Spain. That's how I learned of the Spanish event. And is actually the leader of the Global Revolution channel. The Global Revolution movement or the Occupy movement is not structured, but there was a piece in the New Yorker that you can read there, but you know, they basically credit him for being in charge of the Occupy movement and being one of the father that is really leading it. Interestingly, he's a 39-year-old trader, and he was a trader before. But the channel, as you can see, is another channel on livestream.com. But this has now spawned into about 60 different Occupy channels in all of the different cities around the world that are using live streaming to, you know, to tell their message directly to the people. And some of this is also being rebroadcast on global media. So I'll be showing you a video of Vlad again talking about how they are basically producing this channel just using a few $1,000s of equipment and volunteers that you saw in the previous photo.
Well, the setup right now is pretty rudimentary. We're actually mixing, this is mostly to mix the global channel. We have a similar setup for the New York channel right now. So we're pulling up whatever feeds or whatever videos are coming from the internet, and we're basically mixing them together. We're gathering whatever is happening from whatever part of the world, and we're feeding it into the channel. And sometimes we'll go on and we explain what's going on.
So Vlad, this was actually from the other media center they have on Broadway, and there they run everything. So they have reporter using live stream, which I'll show again with Wi-Fi card and cameras, and then they are beaming back through our virtual studio different feeds, and then he's editing them, but also he spent a lot of time out there. So my last video will really be a little showcase of how they are doing it there, followed by some footage, some actual footage that was live streamed from the Brooklyn Bridge arrest. So they went on the Brooklyn Bridge and stopped the traffic, and there were hundreds of arrests, I believe. As well as another set of arrests where they were able to stream with a mobile phone from the police wagon after being arrested. Sorry. This is
live stream has really helped us bring the people's stories to the public in an unvarnished, unfiltered way. It lets us run around with laptops and wireless cards and show everyone exactly what's happening so that there's no chance for the corporate media to simply ignore everything or rather we give them an alternative. And we also help make it true that when people say the whole world is watching, technically we can make that true using live streaming.
We got 10,000 people watching this right now.
Hey guys, live from the paddy wagon.
Busted nose. Yeah, just shot of that.
Hey, I've seen that, but it's not good.
So you can see how they're able to even change the story. The first footage was on the Brooklyn Bridge, and they were actually shouting to the cops, there are 10,000 people watching right now, be careful at what you're doing. And actually, after they were replaying it, it went to 20, 30, 40,000 viewers. But when it actually happened live, there were 10,000 people behind that laptop in that camera. So let me share with you some number of one Occupy movement channel, the Global Revolution channel, which is the main one for Occupy Wall Street that Vlad runs. So basically, so far, since the beginning of the movement, they have reached 11 million unique viewers. About 90% of these people are in America. They have streamed, so this, when somebody comes onto a stream, they count as one stream, 65 million streams, and viewers are spending 16 minutes on average. So that means that people are watching for hours during the day, and some are watching for a couple of minutes. And in total, they have streamed on live stream 1,040,000,000 viewer minutes. And so if you want to talk about this specific event, this specific channel, and the impact of having 1,040,000,000 minutes, having people consume that for them to bring their message across, hopefully you'll agree with me that live video can help democracy in the future. Thank you.